I have done 30 plus certifications and am here to guide you throughout your certification journey. In this video, we will be covering some important questions of the PL-500 exam. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. To the important questions, question 1. You need to configure the desktop action for the maintenance scheduler Cloudflow. Which two actions should you perform? Here in this question, the two actions that we should perform are to navigate through desktop flow action settings in the Cloudflow and select the timeout property and update the duration to PT20M. Thus, the correct options are B and D. B and D seems correct since the desktop flow is started from a cloud flow and I cannot find a timeout setting from within desktop either. Version 2. You create a custom connector that retrieves data from an API. The host URL of the API requires a connection with a dynamic subdirectory path. You need to ensure the custom connector's requests are completed successfully. Which two features should you use? Here in this question, in order to ensure the custom connector's requests are completed successfully, the two features that we should use are define a base URL and define a policy. Thus, the correct options are B and C. About the options, B. Defining a base URL allows you to set a common part of the URL that is shared across all requests. This is useful for handling the dynamic subdirectory path as part of the base URL. Then option C, policies in a custom connector allow you to define rules or behaviors for requests. You can use policies to handle dynamic elements such as headers or parameters that may change based on the dynamic subdirectory path. Options A and D are not directly related to handling dynamic subdirectory paths in the context of a host URL for API requests. References are typically used for referencing other resources or configurations, and custom code may provide flexibility but is not explicitly needed for handling dynamic subdirectory paths in this scenario. Question 3. You need to configure the flow for processing invoices that arrive in the AP mailbox. Which three elements should you use? Here in these questions, the three elements that we should use are AI model, document type, and pages. Thus, the correct options are A, B, and E. When you add a predict action to Cloudflow, you can configure the model, document type, document, and pages. Location is not a property. Question 4. A list of accounts pending payment is generated from SAP as a Microsoft Excel file on a local machine. Data must be converted into JSON format for a bulk upload to a customer relationship management system. You need to recommend a solution. Which solution should you recommend? Here in this question, we want data to be converted into JSON format for a bulk upload to a CRM system. As such, the solution that we should recommend is to run Excel macro action. Thus, the correct option is A. Excel macros can be used to automate repetitive tasks and complete workflows in Excel. In this case, you could create a macro that reads the data from the Excel file, converts it into JSON format, and then saves it. This JSON file can then be used for the bulk upload to the CRM system. Question 5. You develop a desktop flow. The flow performs five actions in sequence. If an error occurs, you must restart the flow from the first action. You add the five actions to an on block error action. You need to configure error handling. Which two actions should you perform? Here in this question, we have a flow that performs five actions in sequence, and if an error occurs, we must restart the flow from the first action. We have added the five actions to an on block error action. We need to configure error handling. As such, the two actions that we should perform are to change the exception handling mode to go to the beginning of the block and select continue flow run. Thus, the correct options are A and E. AE is correct. The two options for configuring the next step is throw or continue running. Throw will generally stop the flow. Continue running will mean the exception handling of go to the start of a block will execute and it will try again. Question 6. You develop a desktop flow. You need to debug the flow. Which three tools can you use? The three tools that we can use to debug the flow are breakpoints, run next action, and run from here. Thus, the correct options are B, C, and E. About the options, run a desktop flow by action. The run next action button runs the flow action by action. After each action is completed, the flow is paused. Open the variables pane to check the value of any variable at the point where it is paused. This feature is useful for debugging. Run from here. Run the flow starting from a specific action. Right click the action and select Run from here. This ignores all previous actions and runs the flow from the selected action onwards. In my opinion, static results are just showing the output and not really considering looking into where the errors are, while configure run after exists only in a cloud. Question 7. You are designing a user interface automation that uses a Power Automate for desktop flow. The solution must allow you to use wildcard characters, including question marks and asterisks, to define a window on a desktop. You need to select the window mode for the automation. Which window mode should you use? Here in this question, we need to select the window mode for the automation, and our requirement is that the solution must allow us to use wildcard characters, including question marks and asterisks, to define a window on a desktop. Considering this, the window mode that we should use is by title and slash or class. Thus, the correct option is A. The answer should be A. Windows title slash class accept text value and a wildcard like question mark slash asterisk to be used. Question 8. You create several desktop flows. Each flow will run on a single user's device. You need to determine how Power Automate will orchestrate the flows. Which three rules will Power Automate apply? The three rules that Power Automate will apply are that the first flow runs on the target device based on the priority and the time requested. Then the remaining flows are queued, and the next flow will run when each run completes based on the priority and the time requested. Thus, the correct options are B, C, and E. Question 9. You are trying to record the process that a medical facility uses to check in patients. You need to identify bottlenecks and variations in the process. What should you use? Here in this question, we need to identify bottlenecks and variations in the process. As such, we should use Process Advisor. Thus, the correct option is A. Question 10. You are developing an RPA solution that requires browser automation. You are testing the flow. You observe that the flow does not interact with web page elements in Microsoft Edge. You need to troubleshoot the issue. What should you do? Here in this question, we observe that the flow does not interact with web page elements in Microsoft Edge. As such, we need to troubleshoot this issue. Considering this, we should ensure the Power Automate for desktop browser extension is downloaded and enabled in Microsoft Edge. Thus, the correct option is A. Question 11. You manage the machines used for Power Automate for desktop automations. You create machine groups to organize the machines. Users must perform automations on the machines. You need to share the machine groups with the users. Which portal or application should you use? Here in this question, we need to share the machine groups with the user. As such, we could use the Power Automate portal. Thus, the correct option is D. Sign in to the Power Automate portal, go to Monitor, then Machines, select the machine group you want to share, click on the Share option, and add the users with whom you want to share the machine group 1. Question 12. You develop a Microsoft Power Platform solution for a client. You must test the solution in a user acceptance testing environment before deploying the solution to production. You must ensure that the configurations for the UAT and production environment are identical. You must minimize administrative effort. You need to ensure that the environments are identical. Which Microsoft Power Platform feature should you use? Here in this question, we need to ensure that the environments are identical while minimizing administrative effort. As such, we should use copy environment. Thus, the correct option is E. Question 13. You are preparing to share a desktop flow. You need to share the flow with another user. Which two methods can you use? Here in this question, we want to share a flow with another user. As such, the two methods that we can use are to share the desktop flow by using the Power Automate portal, grant the user permissions to access the flow, or support a solution that contains the desktop flow and provide the solution to the user. Thus, the correct options are C and D. Question 14. You have a flow that interacts with different SharePoint sites. You add the flow to a solution. You redeploy the solution to production each time you make a change to the flow. You make a change to the flow. You do not want to change the SharePoint site URL every time you redeploy the solution. You need to configure the solution. Which solution component should you use? Here in this question, based on the given scenario, the solution component that we should use is environment variable. Thus, the correct option is D. Connection reference wouldn't have the SharePoint site. Need an environment variable. You would use an environment variable. Question 15. You must create new flows within a solution and import existing flows into the solution. You need to configure the solution. Which three actions can you perform? Here in this question, the three actions that we can perform are to create the flows within the solution, to automatically create connection references, add an existing connection reference into the solution in the same environment, and modify each trigger and action when you add a flow into the solution to use connection references instead of connections. Thus, the correct options are A, C, and E. Question 16. You have an automation solution that uses a desktop flow. The flow reads data from a file that is stored on a user's machine and writes the data to an application. You import the solution to an environment that is connected to another user's machine. The user reports that the flow fails. An alert indicates that the path to a file does not exist. You confirm that the file is present on the user's desktop. You need to resolve the issue. What should you do? Here in this question, in order to resolve this issue, we should use the get Windows environment variable action to read the username environment variable and use the value in the path to the user's desktop. Thus, the correct option is A. Question 17. You are creating a solution that will use a choice field for approvals. You need to ensure that other users can use the choice field with their Microsoft Dataverse tables. What should you use? Here in this question, we need to ensure that the other users can use the choice field with their Microsoft Dataverse tables. Considering this, we should use global choice. Thus, the correct option is A. Question 18. Company uses Microsoft 365 apps. You are building a flow that is triggered when a new email arrives. If an email message contains a Microsoft Excel workbook attachment, the solution must post the Excel data to an external customer relationship management system that runs on a user's workstation. The CRM system is not accessible by using an API. You need to design the solution. Which three actions should you perform? Here in this question, based on the given requirements, the three actions that we should perform are create a desktop flow, implement the retrieve email messages action from a desktop flow, and implement the when a new email arrives trigger in a cloud flow. Thus, the correct options are A, C, and D. Question 19. You create a process map by using Process Advisor. You plan to create a cloud flow based on the process map. You need to develop the cloud flow. Which two process advisor features can you use? Here in this question, the two process advisor features that we can use are recommend automation opportunities based on the process map and suggest connectors to use in the cloud flow. Thus, the correct options are C and D. Answer is C and D. I choose C and D. Process Advisor does not automatically build the flow for you. It just suggests which tasks can be automated and which connector to use. Question 20. You need to package the automations. What should you do? Here in this question, we should add required components to each item within the solution. Thus, the correct option is D. These were all the questions for this video. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. We will be publishing more parts to this series in the future, so please make sure to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.